How's that sound? How's that sound? Bees in the mix. I like that. Living life in a whirlwind. Try your best in a land of sin. Keep your head down to wash their marble floors. Standing straight in a hurricane. If you smile real big, they won't see your pain. Want a bite to eat, you better keep up the show. It falls to rack and ruin. 'Cause God is coming soon. Send your kids to Epstein's Isle. Say they're better than you with a great big smile. They'll bleed you dry till you're just skin and bone. Took out their heart, replaced it with tin. Sent the angels away, let the demons in. Put a price tag on their everlasting soul. It falls to rack and ruin. 'Cause God is coming soon. A robot ain't no Holy Ghost, AI won't replace heaven's host. The light so big you cannot see the chains. Yeah, you can't outrun the human race. You won't find solace out in space. Your guilt will follow you down to your grave. It falls to rack and ruin. 'Cause God is coming soon. Yeah, that one slaps. That one slaps. I like that one. As the kids say, that one slaps. I need to get that one committed to memory, I think. When you send a message, people will see you have subscribed to the channel. Great, Fiddleford. I don't know how to respond to that, but thanks. Good to see you. Good to see you too, JT. Compton. Yeah, Democrats ignore genocide and then claim they're anti-capitalist. Yeah, the Democrats are going to say everything except we don't like genocide. Like, literally, Bernie Sanders is like, now Israel, of course, when we say these things, when we say these things, it's important that everybody understands Israel has the right to defend itself. Israel has the right to defend itself. Get fucked, Bernie. Fucking loser. What a loser this guy was. He was always a loser. Just always, he was up there being like, I think it's ridiculous that people don't have healthcare, and so you should vote for me, so I can be the one to deny you healthcare. That these guys are the ones denying you healthcare, and I should be the one to deny you healthcare. That's his whole pitch. It's ridiculous you don't have it. I know, but our hands are tied. If he's not going to stand up against genocide, he's not going to stand up for your healthcare. Just black and white. there just comes a point, guys, where if I'm stabbing your sister in the chest, telling you, don't worry, you're safe, you shouldn't feel safe. Yeah, I think the most hilarious thing that happened this week, because the story's the same, right? No breaking news. There's the breaking news. Everything is the same. Breaking news. Nothing has changed. Everything the same. But the funniest thing, without a doubt, that happened this week was what's her name? Marjorie Tyler Greene, right? One of these ghouls from the mega base who's just like if you could manifest in your mind, like if the idealized version of a boomer Karen could just have apparated from the nether region, just like Lucifer Morning Song just went, oh, you want to see a Karen, do you? It would have been, and still is, frankly, Marjorie Tyler Greene or Taylor Greene or whatever her dumb name is, MTG, Magic the Gathering. Marjorie Taters Greens. Yeah, exactly. Thank you, Peanut Butter Beatrice. She comes out in one of her speeches and says that what's happening in Gaza is a genocide. Which means, guys, that right now, on the issue of Gaza, Magic the Gathering, MTG, Marjorie Greens and Collards is further to the left than AOC and Bernie Sanders and the squad. Oh, good try. Better luck next time. We have to fund Israel the defensive missile system. They're defending themselves with defensive missile systems that are defensive. That's why we have to fund them. What a loser. Like, what a total fucking joke. And these Democrats are going to come like hat in hand. We gotta do something to defeat these evil Republicans. We're not gonna offer anything. We're gonna do the same things, but we're gonna sound a lot nicer about it. Like, it's just clown shoes at this point. Like, I can't take it seriously anymore. Oh yeah, pull up Caitlin Johnstone's response to AOC. Honestly, if you guys like get on Caitlin Johnstone's TikTok and like listen to Caitlin Johnstone talking about this stuff, dude. Like, she is just like slapping. Everything she says is just like slap. Oh, I don't have the spoons. Like, I don't have the spoons to like be verbose about it. Do you know what I mean? Like, if you look at even a picture like this, right? I can't bear to show you guys the starvation pictures. I can't bear to show you like the people screaming and squalling, right? I can't do it. It like, even seeing it is an incredible burden. And like, it's just the knowledge that it's going on that has me like what's the story that happened with this CEO? There's a CEO that got shot. Let's see if I can find, I had like the one thing. Oh yeah, it's the no. Yeah. Wall Street returns to work after Manhattan shooting that killed Blackstone executive. Yeah, it's been pointed out, like, notice how they're not saying CEO, because they all know what we would do. Like, they all know what we would say if they started calling it a CEO. They all know that we would all just be like, it's Luigi time, right? Like, I'm genuinely to a point, right? Yeah, it was a CEO. And there was much rejoicing. Yeah, exactly. Like, I am fine with it. Like, anybody who is going to stand up in front of me and say, is Israel's fine? We should defend Israel. I'm fine if those people catch bullets. I'm fine with that, right? Like, they should. That's like the least of what should happen to these people, right? Like, the very Like I think the ones that are catching bullets are the ones that are getting off easy, right? Because like wait until the power system turns against them. Like wait until the wheel turns. Wait until the pendulum swings. Like what you think these guys are just gonna get shot suddenly? Like they're going along their day, la la la. Boy, I can't wait to throw a bunch of single mothers out of their homes today and deny everybody their health care. Right? I can't wait to increase everybody's cost of living while reducing their employment opportunities with AI. I can't wait to make everything worse for everybody, and then they're done. Right? That to me seems like the easy way out for a lot of these guys. And my hope is that it just accelerates. That like it becomes like instead of these mass shootings being like a school was shot up today, or a church, a synagogue, a movie theater, right? That'll literally be like all of the same kinds of people, all the same kind of stuff, except it'll be like your congressman's house, right? Your the executives in New York, right? Like I just hope it becomes like so crazily common. Like I hope that the zeitgeist comes up with some like cute, endearing term for it. I hope that we all kind of come together as a people where we all finally acknowledge that these people should be gunned down like fucking vermin. And we give it like a really cool, cute name where everybody's like, oh, that person, like we kind of did with Luigi, right? They got Luigi'd, right? Except it'll be even more endearing and even cuter. Cause like, fuck these people, right? Like they have no souls. They're obviously psychopaths, right? And every single time one of these people get gunned down, the press is like, oh, they were a mother and they worked tirelessly. They were the hardest work. Like these are the people who, like, after Goebbels got hung, they would have been like, Goebbels was a family man who was very punctual and was dedicated to his cause. Like, these are the type of people who, like, when Adolf Hitler shot himself, people would be like, crazy radical leftists drive leader to suicide. Like, that's exactly the type of shit that's going on. It's just so fucking, like, we're getting into like a fate. Like I can no longer attach to it emotionally in any kind of negative sense. I just can't anymore. I just don't have it in me to be like, oh, I'm seriously upset about this now, because I feel like I'm getting more and more detached from the outcome, and more detached from just like the reality that nothing is really being seriously done about it. That things are happening, right? Like the collective zeitgeist will not stand for this, right? But it's becoming more and more clear that the response is going to be chaotic, that it's just going to be chaos, right? Like it isn't going to be a unified front. It isn't going to be a bunch of people coalescing under an umbrella and seizing power. It's just going to be like a wildfire, right? Like it's just going to be like flame and fury and just despondence, and anybody seizing power is just gonna get gunned down. It's gonna like read like the fall of the Roman Empire, where like emperors are getting stabbed every 6 weeks, and just like people get power and then are dead. And it's just gonna be over and over again. People are gonna be like, I'm the president. I'm the president. There will be no president. I'm the emperor president. I am the grand chancellor. And it's just gonna be like that, where it's just gonna be like this churning, this just ridiculous churn of like absolute sycophantic pedophilic narcissists gunning down one another so that they can wear the crown, so that they can be there and be like, I'm the president now. It's my turn. I get to be the president. And it's going to just be loaded with madness and insanity and crazy. All the while, like, climate change is just like ravaging the land. There's poverty everywhere. People are literally like, Mr. Beast becomes like straight up Hunger Games game show host. And like, everything's gonna go absolutely fucking crazy nuts, and I just cannot stand there and be like, oh, boo hoo about it. Like, it would be so easy. This is the part about it. I've said this so many times on the channel. It would be so easy, ridiculously easy, simplistically easy for us to just not. The solutions to the problems are obvious, are straightforward, are could be done, are cleanly done. And we're just obviously choosing not to. Like, we're choosing not to at this point. Like, oh, there's all this poverty, give people money. Oh, there's all this homelessness, give people homes. But that'll collapse the market. Good. I hope it does collapse the market. I hope that BlackRock and Blackstone and Vanguard and Sixth Street go belly up. I hope they are all bankrupt, and I hope that everybody who works for those organizations is poor. I hope that they all lose their jobs, and I hope the evil system that they call the market or the economy they've erected in order to justify the like skeletization of an entire people completely vanishes and disappears. And I hope they cry about it so we can see who the vampires are amongst us. Right? The ones crying about the loss of the ability to exploit other people. Like, but instead of doing any of these very easy things, we're just going to have an empire destruction moment, and we're going to watch the whole thing implode in on itself. And it's going to be great, you guys. It is. It's going to be great. Like, it's going to be horrifying. It's going to be ridiculous. It's going to be like silly bitch stuff. Like silly shit. The people who are going to take power and the things they say and how they act, it's going to be even sillier than it is now. Right? Donald Trump is pretty fucking silly, but it's going to get even sillier. All right, what are you guys saying? Yeah, the U.S. wouldn't stop the Columbine meme. I'm not sure we can quash the Luigi meme. They're trying with this one, right? They're using the softer language. They're kind of burying the story a little bit. They're not really promoting it. They're not really talking about it. Like the Brian Thompson story, I think really shook them. Because I think that they thought everyone was going to be like, gasping gee willikers. Goodness me. Brian Thompson, a CEO, was gunned down in the streets of New York. Is there no justice for this father, family man, and professional? And instead we were all like, ha, get fucked, Brian. I hope your kids cry. And I think that really got them. I think that they were just like, oh, like, this isn't like the imploding submarine thing, right? Like the imploding submarine moment was like, I feel like all the wealthy people kind of justified our celebration of that moment because they were like, he did kind of hang himself by his own petard, right? Like he went down there with an Xbox controller being like, I'm going to go see the Titanic with my boy. And like went down and then the thing just went and they died. And all of the rich people were like, oh, gasp, a rich person. Goodness me, they experienced the thing we inflict on millions of people every day. Oh. And we basically like made fun of him. But then were all like, well, it was a bit, it is a bit funny, he expected that to work, I suppose. Oh, yes, I suppose. But with the Brian Thompson thing, literally, it was like a dude shooting him in the back. Just like, straight up. Like, he's like, oh, I'm going to have a great day robbing people of their healthcare and making sure children die. And we all went, yeah, get them. Hunt those people down. Shoot them in the back. And we all celebrated that. Right? No, like, the people that booed, we made fun of them. I kicked people out of this channel over it. Because there were people being like, Joel, he was a foul. Oh, like that fucking loser Watson who kept coming in with his Trotsky bullshit. oh, read this article. And I like read it for 2 seconds. And I was like, these guys are doing the imperial line. Fuck you. Fuck your website. Flush. Bye, loser. And like, nobody brings up the Brian Thompson thing anymore with the sense of defending him. Right. And so now here's this CEO from Blackstone who's like kicking people out into the streets, making the homelessness crisis way worse, getting gunned down by some, and they were smart not to release the guy's name. You notice this? Right? You notice this? Like, none of us know who this guy is. The only picture I've ever seen of him was like the one picture where he had like the assault rifle at his side. Right? So they've been really careful because they don't want us to create like a sainthood. They don't want us to be like Luigi Mangione, this guy, right? And create like a, although we should venerate these people into heroic status. Like, absolutely. Good for this guy. I think this guy saw the writing on the wall. This guy saw that he had been rendered homeless, right? Or that he was heading towards homelessness, that everybody around him was in the same situation. And instead of crying about it and collapsing into like meth and drug addiction and fentanyl and then like dying on the streets, he did what every single God-fearing American should be doing. He picked up a rifle and he did something about it. God bless this man. I hope Jesus Christ is giving him little pecks on the cheek and is being like, good for you. Good for you. You did God's work. And I hope these guys are scared. I hope all these CEOs are scared. I hope they're terrified. We will not apologize for the terror. Like, the wealthy absolutely deserve it. They deserve way worse. I hope they burn in hell. Hell is real, and I hope they live there for eternity. Right? What are you guys writing about? JT says more like cysts bursting, a valve releasing, rather than a communist-backed concentrated organized tactical front, most likely. Yeah, that's a good, that the cysts bursting, a valve releasing. Yeah, I think that's those are perfectly fine metaphors for what it's going to look like, right? That like there will be movements that pop up, but they'll be local, they'll be small. Like you think like Zoran Mamdani, right? Like as a mayor of a town. I mean, New York's a big city, but like you'll see like individual states, and you'll see that kind of stuff. And you just wait, guys. Just wait until individual states start electing like socialist governors, and then the United States government and the CIA will coup them. Just wait, man. Like, what, you think that they have been cooing everybody around the globe and they're not going to coup a governor? You think that the United States military and the CIA, that has only over the past 50 years been trained to execute coups against socialist leaders, is suddenly going to see a socialist leader pop up in like Arkansas or Tennessee and be like, well, the people have spoken. Yeah, right. Like, wait until these people get cooed, man. Like, wait for it. It's coming. It's going to be crazy, dude. Like, it's just going to be a wildfire, man. And I'm here for it. Now, long defined, I agree with that. It would be more effective if it was aligned with a strong political movement, carrot and stick kind of stuff. I mean, I think it's more likely that once the wildfire starts, like once the coups start, once the assassinations start, and once political leaders and CEOs start getting gunned down more and more, I think you're going to see like just people go to the streets, right? And then afterwards it will be described as like a grassroots movement, right? But like it'll be like Occupy, right? It'll be like Occupy, which they've been working really hard to prevent, and keep the populace distracted and divided and in fracas with one another and itself. But the end result of this is like an Occupy style moment where literally the streets are filled with millions and millions of people who are just like taking it over. Like, and it'll be very anarchic, right? Which means it'll be chaotic, just like Occupy Wall Street was.
It's an opportunity for us as JT, as all history, for anarchists and communists to connect all that will to the movement. Yeah, dude. I mean, these last few weeks, I've been having a real like magic is real kind of thing. Like, I don't know how to explain it better than that, but just like magic is real. And I think it's not going to be so much like people planning and then an execution happens and then so blah, blah. Like, it's going to be like just a zeitgeist of energy. It's just going to be like everybody simultaneously all at once, swept up in the energy of this like fuck this shit, right? And it's gonna be just like millions and millions of people taking over, like Occupy. It's just gonna be like Occupy, except this time it's gonna be way more violent. Like, one of the hallmarks of the Occupy movement was that it was quite peaceful, right? Like, yeah, there was some property destruction, and yeah, there was that, but it wasn't like gangs of people were going up into Wall Street towers and gunning these people down, right? The next time this happens, that's what will happen, right? That the wealthy had their chance. When the Occupy movement happened, that was their real chance. Their real chance to turn the ship around and to be like, okay, there is enough popular energy and enough popular will that we have got to actually offer something to these people. We've actually got to say to the populace, okay, we are not going to abandon you. We are going to increase your health care benefits. We are going to increase, we're going to do for student loan forgiveness. There's all kinds of things that the power structure could have done amidst the Occupy movement to sort of veer things back, and they didn't. And instead, they plunged the society into like a class war, men versus women, the trans issue, all of this distractionary stuff to get people not talking about class issues anymore. Forget about the 99% stuff. Forget about that. Remember, there was a period of time where people were talking about us versus the 99%, and that was the subject of the day. Yeah, they don't want that. They don't want that. And so now the consequence of this is that once the streets are full of people again, which will happen, right? It's an inevitability, and it will be like magic. It will literally just be like a magical force descended on the populace, and everybody simultaneously went, we are walking out these doors. And when that happens, this time, there's going to be like thousands of people who are going to be like, cool, now's our chance to go assassinating a lot of these guys. Oh, cool, there's millions of people over there. Cool, here's this guy's house. Let's go gun him down. And they will. For sure they will. You're going to see cop killings. You're going to see all kinds of stuff. And in my opinion, the wealthy have it coming. They've had more than their opportunity. They've had more than their share of opportunities to right this ship, and they've just chosen not to, right? And they've chosen not to out of their hubris and their arrogance. That instead of saying like, okay, I guess I don't need $1 trillion, I guess. Instead of doing that, they're like, I earned this money. I earned all this money myself with my own two hands by sitting here and telling other people to work while I did nothing important because I'm not a parasite. You're a parasite, lazy. Like, we're coming for like a real okay boomer moment, but for rich people. Where like the rich will say something and we'll just be like, okay, and that'll be that. Ongoing says conspiracy theory. News of Columbine was blown up to drown the Western military activities. Yeah, I remember that. Which there's probably some truth to that, right? It's like the O.J. Simpson trial. Like the O.J. Simpson trial was like a real floating balloon experiment of like, oh, can we capture the public's attention with like a celebrity, like just like a celebrity murder story? Like, oh, did O.J. Simpson, you did murder a guy? That story. Oh no, it was the death of Anna Nicole Smith. The death of Anna Nicole Smith actually got more news coverage than 9/11 did. Yeah, look it up. So like, it's pretty well trodden territory that like. Well, and like right now, what's going on in Canada, We've got they're standing up and actually being like, "Oh, we're gonna declare Palestinian sovereignty in September." And I'm like, "Yeah, do you think that has anything to do with the reports that are coming out where we've uncovered hundreds of shipments of weapons from Canada to Israel? Do you think it has anything to do with groups being like, hey, Canada has been loading civilian flights with military equipment to send military equipment to Israel quietly? Do you think that has anything to do with it? What do you think? Like every single power structure right now, UK, France, all across Europe, Canada, are finally standing up and being like, what's happening in Gaza? It's real bad, and we're gonna declare Palestinian sovereignty in September. Please don't send us to The Hague, where we belong and should be hung. Like the entire Liberal Party should go to The Hague, for sure, like 100%. And I don't even think that's like a controversial far left radical position. Like if you think the Nazis should have gone to The Hague, you think the liberals should have gone to The Hague. Pretty straightforwardly. Like, is it going to happen? Obviously not. Obviously not. Homicidal tendencies, good to see you, my man. BC, Alberta, and some others want to separate. I haven't really seen anything too credible. I haven't seen anything like crazy credible about that. I think it's like fracas and disorganized mainly. And like any intelligent power structure, I mean, we don't have intelligent power structure, but any self-interested power structure is just going to co-opt those movements, right? Like it's not too difficult to diffuse separatist movements. Like it really isn't. Long Defiant writes, if the US can balkanize Canada, the chances of annexing go way up. I don't know if I understand your comment there, bud, but that's okay. Hit the like button, commies. Hit the like button. Like, share, subscribe, tell people I exist. Tell your friends, tell your family, spread the word. I exist in the world. I am here to call it how it is. And just for my own mental health. Although my mental health's been feeling really good this week, I gotta tell you. I feel like I'm like really seizing back my own power. I feel like I'm really like gaining control of things a little bit more. And that like I feel positive energy. I feel positive energy. And I hope you do too. And I hope you come here for your catharsis. And I hope you leave here feeling better than when you came. Because have you noticed that things are batshit crazy? Have you noticed it? I've noticed it. And I feel like a lot of other people have noticed it too. But I feel like all other commentators are still in a like, can you believe it kind of position? And I think you guys come here because I'm not like, can you believe it? You're here because I'm like, yeah, we know. How do we live our lives now? Like how do we deal with it? Like so many, I keep seeing like article after article after article, and it still happens, and I can't even believe it still happens. Where like the Jacobin, for a democratic society, democratize finance. And this whole article is like a well-argued, absolutely, we should support like the nationalization of financial institutions and like all this kind of stuff. But like, and then they even have a section like taking on capital, right? And it's like, okay, you don't actually present any solutions that actually call out the problem for what it is, right? And I think the reason why people keep coming here is because you guys know that I call it how it is, right? The wealthy are psychopaths. They have chosen Nazism. We aren't going to be able to appeal to their better selves. They don't have better selves. They are narcissistic psychopaths. The only thing they will respond to is force. Full stop. And that's a historical statement, right? That's just history, baby. That's just history. They're not going to suddenly be like, oh, what a well-written article by the Jacobin. That article in the Jacobin really did convince me that financial institutions should be in the hands of the people. It's just not going to happen. It's just not going to happen. JT, Jacobin is lofty like Zizek shit. Well, Zizek is just a loser. If you see, Israel fundamentally has a right to defend itself, but we here in the West with masculine energy. It's like, shut up, Zizek. You're such a fucking loser. Like, he's not even interesting. I've literally never heard this guy say anything interesting. The only interesting thing I've ever heard him talk about was those brief moments when he was talking about like the reality that like masculinity and femininity don't really exist. These are like sort of human constructs, and like and are mobile. The target can move, right? Things that are considered masculine today become feminine tomorrow, and vice versa. And it's like, yeah, okay, I can buy into that. But anytime he talks about global politics, I'm like, you are just the biggest sim for empire, dude. The idea that you were the guy you were the supposed communist that debated Peterson at one point is just sort of embarrassing. Yeah, he is like Jordan Peterson, right? Except he doesn't have schizophrenia. He has something else going on. Probably a coke addiction, frankly. 24 karat gold, good to see you. Eric, good to see you guys. I didn't mean to skip over you guys. Yeah, gated, segregated, rich, poor communities, private police forces on the horizon, for sure. Like, politics will become expressed through violence, and violence will be the exclusive language of politics. That's why I can't stand these articles. It's like, okay, cool. What are you going to do about the fact that like ICE is a like Nazi force? Like, what are you going to do about that? like we're not going to confront these people with wishes. Oh, I wish it was like this, and everything would be better. Yeah, everything would be better if you gave food to the hungry and gave houses to the homeless and raised everybody's wages and dropped the price of everything. Yeah, everything would be better for everybody, except for like 5 people. We know, right? And actually, I argue that everything would be better for those 5 people. Those 5 people would be happier. They would be living in a better society, and good things would happen in the society, right? Like real straightforward stuff. Like, people would just live a happier life if we did very basic things to help anybody. And why don't we? Because the people who are rich are psychos. Like, they've lost the ability to reason. They don't care to reason. They've gone down this ridiculous rabbit hole where they're worshiping money, and there's just nothing that we can argue to convince them not to do that. Like, that's where we're at. Like, if Elon Musk wanted to solve the problem of poverty in America, he could do it personally. He could do it himself. Instead, he drops $44 billion on Twitter. Eric writes, we did also get weird network state tech bro libertarians out of Occupy. Oh, sure. Like, there's, it's not always positive. Not everything is positive. Yep. Instead, they drank champagne on the balcony in front of the protesters. Yeah, if they tried to do that this time around, I think they would catch bullets. Like, it's going, like, I just think, like, people don't understand what's coming. Peanut Butter Beach just like, don't get my hopes up too high. It's an inevitability, dude. Like, it's going to happen. And like, you can't bottle up. Like, these Gen Z kids turn 30, right? These Gen Z kids turn 40. These Gen Z kids start to feel their joints ache. They start to feel the creaking, right? They start to look back on their stolen youth. Like, you think, like, the millennials were like, the force that was like, we should do something, right? And that force has been spent, and Occupy was a millennial force, right? The Gen Z kids, when they finally get their time, when they get their time on the streets, they're not going to be nice about it. They're not going to be like, we need to negotiate. They're going to be like, cool, purge. Now's our time. Like, that's how it's going to be. Every generation gets its moment in the streets. For the boomers, it was like Woodstock, right? There was a civil rights movement that happened, right? During a period of time where the wealthy were actually willing to give concessions and were willing to actually say, oh, okay, sure, we can actually do something about that, fine, right? The wealthy are no longer interested in giving concessions. They're psychopaths. Like they're fucking little girls, and they're like building institutions to like have pedophile sex parties. Like they're demons. Like they're literal demons at this point. You're not going to convince them of shit. And so when it comes Gen Z's turn, like they're not going to go to the streets to be like, we all feel this way and there should be systemic change in the system. They're going demon hunting. I would. Like, I don't know why anybody thinks these kids are going to do anything else. Like, and the power structure is aware of it. It's why they keep funneling all their money into militarization, so that when this starts to happen, they'll actually have like a fortified front. But they just fail to realize that you can't actually hold stability through mercenaries. And that's essentially who these guys are. They're just essentially finding people who are like, I'm kind of bored, and I do need a good paying job, and girls don't like my PP. Right? What, you think these guys are going to hold the line? No. Like, that's not how this is going to go. And it's going to be just furious. It's going to be furious, dude. And I'm here for it. And every time they try to make me feel sympathy for some rich guy that caught a bullet, I'm just going to be like, haha. Get Luigi, get fucked. Eric writes, Trudeau and Carney both are ideological Zionists. Of course they have complicity. Yeah, of course. Anemone, good to see you. Bee therapy. Oh yeah, radio, Halifax. Earlier, you said, glad to see the bees went well. Me too, dude. The bees are doing really, really well. They're kicking ass. I'm gonna get like 100 pounds of honey. It's gonna be a lot of honey. Deja Menpaz. Don't know if I've ever seen you here before. Good to see you, my man. Oh yeah, and then I haven't even included in this analysis that while America is like going through this like firestorm of just like chaos and wildfire of ridiculousness, China is just going to keep on building. And like the power structure is just going to pass the baton from Xi Jinping to his predecessor, and his predecessor is going to be like, yeah, to secure the border, build up material wealth. And every time some kind of capitalist institution falls apart in China, they'll just absorb it or destroy it. And we'll be looking over there from the West being like, well, if you build all those solar panels, then everybody will have energy for free and nobody will be able to make any money with it. So what's the point of building all those solar panels? Like, literally, it won't be until the entire society is fully burnt to the ground that somebody might go, I don't know if the money is the point. Maybe the money. Just hold on a second. Literally, guys who are like standing amidst rubble and ruin and ashes, where there's like the only buildings that are left standing are literally just where rich people live with their pedophile cults. And only then will some of these people start to go, do we actually need the money, do you think? Like, do you think the money is, maybe the money was just a tool of measurement, right? And that instead of us actually valuing like standing structures and clean water and clean food and like institutional authority and communities and basic decency, instead of that we sacrificed all of that for this like measurement tool that by itself is actually worthless. Like, you can't eat money, you can't drink money, you can't build anything with money. Money doesn't keep you warm at night. Money doesn't find you love. Like, what's the point of money? It's just to like allocate resources amongst one another. Okay, cool. But like, if doing so means that all the resources and everything gets poisoned and destroyed, then what's the point of it? But it won't be until the society is literally burnt to the ground that anybody will actually be like, did we do all this for a ruler? And not like a leader, but like a measurement tool? Did we all burn this place to the ground because we thought we would run out of inches? Is that what we just did? And guess what, dumbasses? That's exactly what you're doing. You fucking dumbass monkeys. Like, how do you have sympathy for these people? How do you have sympathy for this anymore? You're literally destroying everything so that you can clutch the longest ruler and say, I won. You're a loser. You're just the biggest loser that has ever lived. Just, you want a perfect picture. You want a perfect picture of who these people actually are. It's like this picture, except one guy's really clinging on to a meter stick. Like, just cartoonish. JT writes, worse than any comic book villains conjured up. Like, kind of, but they're way more pathetic, right? Like, they're way more pathetic. Like, these guys are just like utter losers, unimaginative, uncreative dullards who are so short term in their thinking and just like have no care. Like, even Lex Luthor was like, and then when I die, my name will persist throughout history and the institutions that I build will persist. These guys don't care about that. Like, a guy like Donald Trump literally is just like, how many little girls can I fuck? And that's pretty much the extent of his vision. Unknowing writes, speaking of gated communities, some town in Arkansas is experimenting on openly bringing whites-only communities again. It's just freedom of association. First Amendment rights. Yeah. Like, this is what they're doing with their time. Right? This is what they're doing with their time. Like, instead of actually asking themselves, like, hey, maybe everybody should have food and shelter, like maybe we should actually read our Bible and actually do what this, Jesus guy tells us to do. Instead of that, they're literally spending their time being like, whites only. We should have a white only community where all the whites can come and be safe and secure in their whiteness. Like, you guys are so, it's just like so, it's just so embarrassing. It'll make it easier to identify the Nazis. I mean, yeah, like, if you're moving into a town because it's all white, you might be a Nazi, right? If you look at a brochure and are attracted to the idea of an all-white community, you might be a Nazi. Like, I wonder what it's like. You ever sit there and actually think, like, what must it be like to be like so racist, you like want to do harm to other races. Like the racism I came up with, right? The racism that was around me and in my communities was like a wholesome, charming kind of racism, right? Like we weren't actively trying to do harm to black people. It was that kind of like folksy racism where we were like I was from the community that would be like, well, all lives matter, you know? Like that was my community for sure. Where like Black Lives Matter would come and like somebody in the community would be like, well, Black Lives Matter, but you know, all lives matter. It's like a clueless, decontextualized, like no structural analysis, no sense of their privilege, right? Yeah, and like I don't really know anything about them ignorance. Yeah, like that kind of racism of just like when I was growing up, in my community there was one black guy. He was from Zimbabwe, and he had married a woman in my church who who went out to Zimbabwe on like a missionary journey, and they met and they like fell in love, and then he moved back to Canada with her, and he was like one of the teachers in my school, and he was a great man, if you ask me. I think if I ran into him again, and I think if I go out to Portugal Prayer, I'll make a real point to try to seek him out, because I think that, and I should let him know that I think that he's a really great man. But like everybody did the same like racist bullshit to him, oh, to the point where he had very obviously just leaned into like, this is just what life is going to be. That if I actually do stand up and try to make a stand for this and try to be a teacher on like why this is racist, I'm going to have a hard go. And he had just very clearly found the joy in like, you know, can I touch your hair? Right? Do black people get sunburnt? You know, like just because he works with kids too, right? So it's just like all of that. And it's just so hard for me to buy into the idea. Like, even with that upbringing, it's so difficult for me to like, who are these people who are like, and we should hurt them? Like, the type of like clueless racism and the harm done by the clueless racists is not intentional harm. It's just a byproduct of this sort of privilege blindness, right? But the harm that Nazis intend to inflict is real and serious and intentional. Like, what the fuck is that? Like, what, for real? Like, what in the fuck are you even talking about? You genuinely think that all of your problems stem not from the people who have all the money, wealth, power, and assets, but from some other poor person who is the same as you in almost every way except the color of their skin. Like, if you can believe that, then you're the most gullible person on the planet. Like, you're not really like tuned in to even yourself, right? Like, you're so easy to trick that someone tricked you into hating a person who's literally just trying to live their life. It's like that kind of logic of like, oh, they hired an immigrant, therefore I hate the immigrant. And it's like, they're the one doing the hiring, champ. Like, they're the ones with the position of power. Like, why do you talk about misplaced anger? It doesn't make sense. And like that's the thing about it that's like so cartoonish and like so comical is how it makes no sense at all. Is how little sense it makes. It's just like you really are defining yourself. Like, your perception of yourself, like if you're a racist, like if you're a Nazi, right? Then your perception of yourself is literally only skin deep. That your inner world, your inner self, your inner desires, and the inner person who you are, and the energy that you are connected with is completely ignored. Does not exist. That your perception of yourself only goes as deep as the reflection in your mirror. And that's just about as pathetic and about as sad as it gets. That you are self-defining and self-limiting yourself as a white person. That and elevating that definition to like the highest position of identity. Wow. Like, there is no bigger loser. That a person who is living their life in such a way is living a completely uninvestigated life. That they are utterly driven by their emotions. They do not have an intellectual capacity. Maybe they can like write and do math or whatever, but they have no connection whatsoever to any kind of source energy. They have absolutely no connection whatsoever to a community that matters. They are unsafe. They're unsafe, having a miserable time, suspicious. Like you have to be suspicious all the time, right? Like you can't relax. You can't live in a place of contentment if you exclusively define yourself, or at the very least prioritize the way you define yourself as a white person. And so you just live your life in this mundane, animalistic, like hum of an energy, and that's it. That's your whole fucking life. How sad. Like, how sad for you. And it's made even more sad because all you can do is inflict harm on everybody around you. And that's all you can do. Because you clearly don't have like the capacity to love. That what you call love, other people would call possession, right? Like that you would like to possess a person. And then because you have no sense of self, you define yourself exclusively as a white person. Because you have no sense of self, because you have no internal self, because you've disconnected and disassociated yourself with your internal self, then you need to possess someone to give you value, right? It's the eyes of other people, and you define yourself based on how that other person makes you feel. Because you can't have feelings about yourself because you define yourself by your skin and nothing else. And so you need to possess a person so that you can have a feeling of self. And of course, you want that person to be what? White. Because that's the most important thing, you think. It's just such a sad life. It's just such a stupid way to be. Like, imagine how much energy it must take to maintain this ridiculous illusion of yourself and this ridiculous idea of yourself. How much energy do you think it would take to just continuously and only define yourself as white? Oh, jeez. Jeez, man. I'm glad I sloughed that off. JT writes, and maybe every once in a while dad would say something off color and mom would go tisk. Yeah, like an Archie Bunker kind of thing, right? Like you sort of expect, like Archie Bunker is a great character to bring into the conversation, right? Because you should expect there to be Archie Bunker types, right? Like just an ignorant asshole flapping his mouth, doesn't know anything, doesn't really care to know anything, right? Just sort of self-interested, not really connected to any kind of community or communal self. But Archie Bunker wasn't like a fucking Nazi, right? It's like what I've kind of always said about the trans issue during that time. Well, not always, but I have come to say of the trans issue, like you do expect people to like grumble in their cups about this and to be like, I don't get it, I don't understand it, what are you talking about? And to tell jokes to their friends and all this kind of stuff. But like, we're voting for presidents over this? What are you talking about, bro? Like, what are you talking about? So I'm a free thinker. That's why I think exactly the same as everybody else. Jefferson writes, these people don't think, mate. They contradict themselves 24/7. They hate everyone, even themselves, and they would never be happy even if they reach their goals. Yeah, that's kind of what I'm saying, Jefferson. It's like, do you want to keep living that way? Like, why are you living that way? Is this a positive thing for you? Are you happy that you're living that way? What's the benefit? What do you get out of it? What's the positive? Like that's the thing that I would really like to start asking these guys. Like what's the positive in all of this, do you think, for you? Like where do you see this going in a way that like the result of this is good? Because like history shows us that this kind of racialized thinking hits a brick wall, right? People don't like it. It's not a popular position, right? Like it gains steam amongst a very specific group, the whites, and then usually ends in hangings. Yeah, colonial peons, basically. Yeah. No, I don't get it. Like that sort of old folksy racism, like Archie Bunker style racism, I get that. Right? People are afraid of that which they don't understand, and people are, kind of little kids mainly, and they don't really grow up. We don't really have good systems or institutions to teach people about their emotions or their inner selves, right? People are kind of just left into the wilderness. The religious institutions have completely collapsed. The only people who are still involved in the religious institutions are essentially the Nazis and pedophiles. And those institutions aren't really interested in teaching you about your emotional selves, your emotional journey. They're interested in getting you hooked on idol worship, so that you can all have like an iconic figure to praise while you are involved in this pedophile cult. Right? That's essentially what organized religions are now. And the schools don't teach you anything about your emotions. Like I actually do think, and I don't think I'm being hyperbolic at all saying this. I actually think the only organization that's even attempting to communicate anything about your emotional selves is like Pixar with Inside Out. Like I think Inside Out is like a genuine attempt to explain to anybody their emotional inner selves in a way that makes any kind of sense. And even they kind of miss the mark. Like even they like the hyper focus on the brain is a big miss. It's a huge whiff. But at least they're trying. At least they're there to being like, yeah, there's happy, there's like joy and sadness, and there's a fear and anxiety, and like all these kind of things, and this is how they manifest, and here's a story, and and you're normal for having these things, and how do we deal with our emotions, right? So it's literally like just Disney movies. Like that's not going to work. That's not going to be a thing. People aren't going to have like emotional journeys and actually be introspective and actually think about anything in a society like that. And so we're all just kind of left to it, and we're left to our own devices. And most people never do it. They just never grow up. They're just bent to the whims of their emotional selves and the forces that are around them. And at no point do they ever like actually go like, am I in fight or flight right now? Like there's a good question that everybody should be asking themselves right now. That you, the listener, do yourself a favor. Let's all do it. Let's all do it. Let's pause for a minute. And let's actually go. Like, am I in flight or fight right now? Am I actually grounded? Am I actually here? Am I present in this moment without fear? Is your jaw clenched? Are you holding your breath? Are you clenching a muscle to try and sit in a way? Or are you just letting what happened happen and just kind of expecting the chair you're sitting in to support you? You know, the bed you're laying in to support you. Because I think most people spend most of their time in this kind of like, oh, I gotta go do that, and and then I gotta go in, and then and then when they get home, they watch movies or television or play a video game that keeps them in that state. I've gotta do that, and there's this other thing I gotta, oh my God. And there isn't like a moment where people go like, oh, I can just exist and persist in the world and be here. And if you do that in this capitalistic society, what's the first thing that happens to you? Oh, I'm not being productive. Oh, I'm wasting time. This is grind set time. This is productivity time. I can't just sit somewhere and do nothing. Yeah, goddamn you can. Goddamn, you should. You should definitely sit down and do nothing. You'll be better off. Because it's when you sit down and you quote unquote do nothing that your system can actually start to process itself. Right? Like, you move faster than your senses do. You move faster than your body can process. If you just keep jamming it and jamming it and jamming it and jamming it with stuff, then you're going to be decades along, just backed up with all this fear and anxiety and hopelessness, and you're going to feel lost and adrift because you haven't just taken a moment, sat down, and just let your fucking processing unit process. Just let it process. Start uploading that information. Start uploading that experience. You know? This is what's helping me beyond more than anything else in the world, is just taking time to just sit down. And I mean, other people would call it meditation, right? And I suppose it does have like that is how I communicate it. But like, I really do think about it as if it's like, no, we're uploading. Like, whenever I sit there and I just have the energy flow through me, through my core, from my root to the crown, it feels like an upload. I'm uploading the information. I'm uploading it to the source. And just going, and when the thought comes in to my brain, right, into the third eye space, right? You can choose to upload it, right? It can get caught there and it can just swirl around in its space. And you can just be like, negative energy, negative energy. What do I do about it? Oh my God, oh my God. Imagine thoughts, planning. Oh my goodness. Or you can just go, okay, uploaded. And the better you get at like uploading that kind of stuff, the better you are in your day-to-day reality at taking something in, allowing it to impact you, and then uploading it so that you don't carry it along in your day. And you just upload and you just upload, and you're constantly taking in information and uploading that information. Instead of having all of this buried inside of you constantly, unexplored and uninvestigated, where you're doing nothing about it. And people think that the anxiety and the fear and the worry that they feel about a subject is doing something about it, and it isn't. It's just a spinning energy to nowhere that does nothing and helps no one, least of all you. And I'm as guilty as anyone of these sorts of things. Getting hung up on an idea, wishing something were true when it likely isn't going to be true, creating a false hope. Like, these ideas exist inside of us. And it's because, now we're going to get real esoteric. It's because we don't want to admit to ourselves that we're not really in control of any of this. That there are forces, universal forces, that have a way better idea about what's going on than we do. That we keep trying to solve these big problems ourselves as individuals. And of course, the problem is so big it can't be solved by individuals. And so we end up, if you want to stay sane, I end up in places of hope and love and trust that things are going to work out. And that the fear and the anxiety and the worry, these are the things that are holding me back and holding me down, that are keeping me away from being the person that I want to be. And that to become a person that you want to be, you have to first know who you are. And you can't know who you are if you're busy worrying about something you can't control. And so you have to upload it. You have to burn it all away. You have to give it all away. So you can finally come to a place where it is just you and you're just sitting there. And it's just you. And in that moment, you can say to yourself, this is me, and I love me. I am exactly where I am meant to be. I am exactly the person who I am supposed to be in this moment at this time. And to find that contentment and that peace inside of yourself, that's a true gift that you can give yourself. And you can give it to yourself, where you can just say, you know, I'm not weak. I'm not behind. I haven't fallen behind. I'm not supposed to be further ahead. I'm not supposed to have more money. I'm not supposed to be married with kids. I'm not supposed to be in a different place. This is where I'm supposed to be. That forces that are infinitely larger than me have managed to get me here. And if I don't like the place I am, I can change it. I can ask those universal forces. I can say, hey, I'd like to be elsewhere. I'd like to be someone else. But you can't know you want to be someone else unless you know who you are. And a big part for me of going on this very esoteric journey that I've just taken us all on, and the reason why I think it's important to go through it is because it's easy to get caught in all of this. It is. And I think it's important for me to talk about the reality that this is important. These are important events. We are going through unprecedented times, as they say, and we will continue to. And there will be madness and there will be lunacy. But don't lose yourself. Don't lose yourself in it. Don't lose yourself in the despair. Don't lose yourself in the anger or the sorrow or the sadness or the grief. And Lord knows we'll grieve. Lord knows we'll have grief. But if the arc of the universe bends towards justice, well, then we'll need people to carry that along. And that's the reason why I keep doing this channel, is so that I can face this. Even looking at this picture, I feel such a deep and profound sorrow and such a profound sadness. I was just like flipping through TikTok today, and just a video of people trying to just get some rice or some grain or some flour. And there was just a little girl, and she was just crying and screaming because she knew how desperate things had become. And I had to stop watching. I had to move on. I couldn't keep seeing it. I couldn't keep it. And I see her now. I know that she is real. She's not just like an actor or an AI image on my phone. But that little girl is a person going through an incredible trauma for no reason at all, so that Leonardo DiCaprio can buy a hotel, so that Donald Trump can put a casino somewhere, so that a bunch of Nazis can feel more secure in their Nazism. But by doing this and by talking about it and by uploading that image and that memory doesn't cripple me. That it becomes part of the whole. That memory becomes part of the zeitgeist of humanity. Jefferson writes, I've always thought the US was a little more than a savage hellhole as soon as I learned the KKK exists. I'm glad they're antagonizing Brazil. We don't need to pretend to be partners anymore. Yeah. I mean, that's the fate of the United States at the end of it all. Like, the global order is going to fall apart. It has already fallen apart. And everybody is going to isolate. To me, I think one of the most significant events that has happened within the larger story of what is happening is that Canada and Mexico have now signed an agreement with each other. It's the first agreement that Canada and Mexico have signed with each other where they have excluded the United States. That's sort of the end of it. Like, that really is like Canada, the United States, and Mexico are natural allies. We're actually more natural allies to America than Europe is. That Europe and America have a relationship based on history. But the relationship between Canada and Mexico is one based on geography. So it just makes sense that we would either become allies or become enemies. And there was hope for a while, post-World War II, certainly post-World War II, there was hope for a while that it was going to be allies. You know, the big expansions happened under Polk. And America is essentially as it is, you know, since the 1800s. You know, there wasn't much by way of major expansion from America on the continent. America kind of turned its eye towards islands and you know, defenseless nations and the global South, and not to create a larger America, but just to create vassals, right? But now we're really entering a period of time where, like, the Americans are starting to talk about annexation, and they're starting to talk about expansion on the continent again. And I think that's just scared the shit out of everybody. It's like really scared the shit out of everybody. And under Trump here, I think, and it's not just Trump, of course, it's seeing all of these ghouls. Like, it's so funny to say this. Like, I never thought that I would ever say this. But if you really want to listen to a guy who has his finger on the pulse of the American zeitgeist and the absurdity of the moment, for some reason it's Tucker Carlson. Like, and not in a like intellectual way, not in a thoughtful way, just in a very straightforward, average American man looking at what's happening in his country and going, what is happening in my country? And of course, Tucker's a transphobe, or at least is fine playing one on TV. But there's just this moment, and it's like with Marjorie Taylor Greene, like there's just this moment where I think these guys and these women, these people who are playing power politics, and who are involved in it have finally gone, hold on, what the fuck? What the fuck are you talking about? And it's coming from like the most unexpected people. And it's coming from the most unexpected sources. Like, I never ever believed that I would be talking about Tucker Carlson in a positive way. And I would be saying, yeah, listen to Tucker Carlson right now. Like, just his genuine human expressions of concern are enough to put him ahead of everyone else. Just these expressions of just like, I never thought that my tax dollars would be used to commit a genocide. What's happening here? And I don't think that makes you a crazy loony lefty to say. The world is a strange and unusual place. And we are strange and unusual creatures. And strange and unusual people will suddenly begin to sound reasonable. Because the situation they find themselves in calls for nothing less. They can't hang on to the illusion anymore. They can't hang on to the dream. They can't hang on to the fabrication, to the manufactured reality of it. They've got to look at it and say, hold on one goddamn minute. And like, the question we really should be asking us is, how come it's the right? How come it's coming from the very people who elected this guy? The very supporters of Trump are the very people who are turning around and asking these questions and are calling it a genocide, and are actually saying, wait a minute, and are actually putting themselves on the line. And of course, there are people on the left, like Chris Hedges, who have always called it right, or Caitlin Johnstone, who's always called it right. But why is it that the Bernie Sanders of the world are still, even now, even as Europe and Canada and the traditional allies of America are finally turning against it and are finally starting to say, we're going to say that this has to stop and we're going to declare Palestinian sovereignty? Like, something's got to give here. And even now, people like AOC and Bernie are still saying that Israel has the right to defend itself. What a strange and unusual world. Eric writes, it's messed up. I feel like as a whole generation, we are on edge in flight mode due to fears of perception. For real, that's me. Yeah, I mean, you're more aware that you're being watched than ever, right? Because everybody has a camera. Like, I was actually listening to, I forget where I picked this up, but I was listening to somebody talk about how like clubs are beginning to diminish and kind of die off. The quote unquote club scene used to be big, and now it's not really a thing. And you listen to the guys who like own and operate clubs, and they're like, yeah, it's the phones. That it used to be that you could go to a club and know that you could do some stupid shit, or something stupid could happen, and no one would remember, right? No one would see it. Or if they did see it, it would like persist for a minute. And then, you know, time moves on and people forget. But now with phones, literally everything you do can be recorded and enshrined, and you can become like internet famous for things that you wish you didn't. It's like a great Saturday Night Live skit about this, where they have a talk show and it's about people who became famous for embarrassing moments that they wish didn't happen to them. It's just a phenomenon that didn't used to exist. Like the closest thing that existed when I was a kid was funniest home videos, right? But now instead of there being like this big giant camera and like a tripod and like tape being spent and time and effort and all of this, now it's literally in a device that every single person carries around with them. This CIA listening and tracking device that we all just have with us. That's definitely not hypnotizing you. Certainly is not doing that. And I do think you're right. Like I think it's messed up a whole generation of kids. I think there's a whole generation that's just like hyper self-aware, but in an external way. They're not actually like self-aware. They're just aware that someone's always watching them. Like that's a really fucked up place to be. Because it's not like an awareness of self. It's just an awareness that someone's watching. It's like a whole society of suspiciousness where there's always somebody watching over your shoulder. There's always somebody looking at you. That somebody can just come up to you, take a picture of you, and put it on the internet and say whatever they like about it and do whatever they like with it. It's a very strange social position to have in a society. JT writes, all the songs about shooting stars just got majorly upgraded. Hope to hear them on the radio now. Yeah, you're probably thinking about this image. The shooting stars. JT continues, sit down and speak with the parts of your personality that care, that are curious, scientific, even the angry, depressed ones. But key to invite the rest of the emotions. Yeah, it's all you. Radio Halifax, sit down, relax, personal defrag time, yeah. Eric says, thank you for this reminder. It's so easy to forget how unpeaceful life is. Oh yeah, like, there is no peace in social media, right? That like TikTok and Facebook and YouTube, like that's not peaceful. You sitting there scrolling like this, doing the doom scroll, that's not peace. Right? There's no peace there. That's activation. That's activity. That's emotionally draining. Like every single time you sit down and start scrolling, you are draining your emotional self. You are experiencing an emotional journey. You are inflicting psychic damage on yourself for sure. For sure. Because the algorithm will always be designed to show you the things that will engage your emotions. Or specifically, the algorithm will always show you something that you will watch. And unshockingly, the things that you will always watch will be the things that engage you emotionally. And so when you're going through these socials and dealing with these algorithms, you are always going to be emotionally confronted and emotionally challenged. And that will always happen 100% of the time. Because that's how humans are hardwired. We're hardwired to be engaged emotionally. And it doesn't matter what your feed is full of. It doesn't matter what you see. It doesn't matter. You will always be engaged in that. And so, for the love of God, and I know it's somewhat odd to hear it from somebody who's broadcasting out onto YouTube land, but for the love of God, turn the socials off. Sit in silence. Feel yourself. Exist with yourself. Deal with yourself. the hardest thing for a person to do, and here's a bit of encouragement, because I know a lot of people have said to me that they feel kind of guilty about it. They feel kind of silly about it. We have got a first time chatter, Goroku. No, I will continue to rot my brain. That they feel bored or they feel bad or they feel scattered or they feel any of that kind of stuff. Well, my encouragement to you on this front is that dealing with yourself is, in fact, the hardest thing for a person to do. There's nothing more difficult than dealing with yourself. And that's why people do everything they can to not do it. That's the reason why people, and I include myself in this, by the way. I'm not guilt-free, or I'm not free of this. It's just easy to turn to these phones. It's easy to turn to these devices. It's easy to project ourselves outward than turn the eye inward. It's easier to hope that there will be a solution that is external to yourself instead of a solution that is internal and that is inside of you. And there are solutions inside of you. But you're not going to find them while there's a little device going, have a jet-free weekend or whatever the shit it is now, right? Or Princess Diana resurrected from the dead. Aliens are real. President Trump today said that pies are in fact made of fetuses and that eating them is an affront to Jesus Christ. Like, you're just never gonna, you're never actually gonna be able to focus that inner eye inside of yourself. And there's so much there. And what's really sad is that a lot of people think that what exists inside of themselves has no value. The lack of self-worth that people have for themselves. Because you live in a system where having your self-worth destroyed is good for the capitalists. It's good for capital that you feel worthless. Because if you feel worthless, you'll accept whatever's given to you. Right? They can pay you $7.50 an hour and you'll take it because I'm not worth anything anyway. And it isn't until you dig inside of yourself and start pulling it out and start writing it down and start unpacking your life and unpacking your existence that you can come to a place where you realize, no, goddammit, I have value, of course. And of course you have value. Like, you live in a system that took billions of years of creative power in order to generate you. And you think that the force that put in this much effort to forge you into existence did so because you're worthless? That's quite a take. That's quite a take. I have to politely disagree. I have to say that no, I bet dollars to donuts that much energy was put into the creation of you for a good goddamn reason. JT writes, be like Link, confront the shadow self. This is a bit of a sidebar, but I'm really actually looking forward to the Legend of Zelda movie because it could legit be like a beautiful, beautiful art piece. Like, the Mario movie was goofy, which is fine because it's Mario. And like, you know, it's very lighthearted and silly and fun on the face of it. But the Legend of Zelda franchise was always pretty mature. There was always like a kind of seriousness about everything, an epicness, right? There were silly moments and silly characters, obviously, but they existed in juxtaposition to the world that was quite serious. And that the world is so beautiful And there's so much opportunity for the Legend of Zelda film to really be just an absolute festival on the soul. That there's no reason why every single shot of this film shouldn't be by itself a beautiful art piece. Why every single shot in The Legend of Zelda should not just be like a Rembrandt painting. There's just no reason why that shouldn't be the case. And they have this really, really brilliant opportunity to just tell the straightest story possible. Literally just like young boy, hero of time, save the princess, Ganondorf, go. No bullshitting, no sideways nonsense, no reinterpretation, no modern audience sentimentality. That's the story. That's always been the story. There's never been one moment where that hasn't been the story. Right? Defeat Ganondorf, get the Triforce, save Hyrule. Hero of time. Story. And just make every single shot just absolutely stunning. And what's interesting is that I actually think that they can do it. Like, I'm trying to put myself into a more positive mindset these days and try to be like, oh, you know what? There are still artists out there, and there are still creators, and there are still people who are actually doing stuff that's interesting and worth watching. Like, I watched Eddington, and Eddington was worth the watch. It was like the first time I watched a film in theater that was made in the modern era that actually made me feel something and actually had me going like, oh, and had me and was surprising. Right? Modern movies have been shit for a decade. Like, I genuinely think the only film that I can pull out of the modern era that actually made me care at all was Joker. And then everything else has just been slop, basically. Just been slop. Like, you have like a little giggle because it's like, ha, he said poopy, right? Or whatever. But like, there's been nothing that's really stuck and made me feel. You know? But Eddington did. Eddington made me feel. And Eddington's rattling around up there, and there's some things that are going on that are still making me think about Eddington. And I feel like, okay, like, maybe there are actually artists out there. Maybe there is actually somebody who's actually like, oh, we've got this great opportunity to make this like really cool, amazing looking project telling like a really simple story. JT writes, interesting, I may watch Eddington. Hopefully I don't accidentally watch Paddington. I think you'll know the difference pretty quickly. Yeah, there's a moment, no spoilers or anything, but there's definitely a moment in Eddington where I'm like, oh, we're on a symbolic journey now. Like, what's happening now is no longer within the realm of the real. This is about symbolism. These are symbols. I'll spoil this little bit, I suppose. It's not really a spoiler. But there is a moment when he like falls through a roof and lands on the bones of Geronimo and shatters them. And I think that was the moment when I was like, oh yeah, okay. This I need to stop trying to make sense of this. We've entered an emotional symbolic space. Got it. Anyway, back on track. Long Defiant writes, the phones and socials definitely present problems. Before the internet, I was always reading a book or watching entertainment. There's lots one can do to distract from reality. Yeah. Well, I take a look at like the trajectory of Star Trek. I've been really thinking about Star Trek a lot recently. Like, Star Trek used to be serious. Like, it had silliness in it, but exactly in that way that I was talking about The Legend of Zelda, where it's like, that's comedic relief. right? There are silly moments that exist within shows, and there's humor in the shows. And then there are sometimes episodes where the premise itself lends itself to humor. But the show itself was always very mature and always meant to be taken seriously. That you knew that you were being told like a morality tale. That most episodes of Star Trek have within them some concept of a moral positioning. And the entire show is, in fact, a morality tale, one that says humanity can progress. We can become more moral. We can build a society based on principles of justice and egalitarianism. We can do that. And we can leave our old bigotries behind. We can leave our racism and we can leave our hatred and leave our bigotry behind. And instead build a society that approaches the universe with curiosity and an open hand. And as Star Trek has persisted through time, it's kind of just become for like little kids, really. Like it's got a lot of pluck, and there's a lot of like yippity and like self-referential kind of behavior. But we're not really telling morality tales anymore. And in many ways, Star Trek has become kind of a self-fulfilling prophecy of itself, where the vision of Star Trek is that we become a better people. But new Star Trek insists that we can't, that we are stuck as we are, and that we can't actually advance as a people, and that the ideals and the ideas of truth and justice will always be inherently corrupted and are corruptible. And that kind of started to happen with Deep Space Nine, but now it's like really in there. And it's no longer serious. There's no maturity left to it. Yeah, Darmok and Jalad at Tanagra is a phenomenal episode. Darmok and Jalad is an episode that I think we should teach in schools, because I feel like it goes a long way. For those of you who don't know, the episode of Star Trek The Next Generation, Darmok, is about the Enterprise meets an alien spacecraft, and they can literally translate what the aliens are saying, but they can't comprehend what the aliens are saying because the aliens speak in metaphor. And so they say things like Darmok and Jalad at Tanagra, right? So you can understand that, but you don't know what it means, right? And so the captain of both ships, Picard and the alien captain, get beamed down to the planet and are put into a situation where they have to defend each other and learn how to communicate with one another. And it's through this process that Captain Picard recognizes that you're speaking through metaphor, and because of that, he pieces together enough of the language to begin communication. And why I think that episode is so important, and why I think it's a great episode and a really important episode, is that, like, if you're a Christian, you can literally interpret the Quran and you can literally read it. But unless you actually contextualize it and put it in its place in history, then you'll never hope to understand it. And I think that's true of the Bible as well. And I think that's true of a lot of cultural documents, right? You can literally read the words and literally understand it. But if you don't seek to find its deeper meaning and its historical context and its metaphorical connection to the society, then it will seem silly to you. The clearest example I can give you of this that's been innocuous is Louis C.K. has a whole bit where he reads from the Bible, and he reads this story of Christ killing a fig tree. And of course, he like lampoons it and makes fun of it. And he's like, "Oh, what'd you kill a fig tree? It was just a fig. It was just being a fig tree," right? And so, if you read it literally, right? Which is the only way you're allowed to read these books, even though they're full of magic. Certainly they're not symbolic, right? Certainly they're not trying to tell symbolic stories. No, books with magic in it never do that. You have to read them literally, and there is no other interpretation. But if you do read it symbolically, right, and you use the logic from Darmok, and you try to find out the metaphor that underlies the story, well, look into the history of the symbol of the fig tree during the Roman Empire. The history of the fig tree is that Romulus and Remus, the brothers, who are the founders of Rome, as children wash up on the shores of the Tigris, I believe it is. And the place that they landed, a fig tree grows. And that a fig tree is actually one of the great symbols of the founding of the Roman Empire. And so when Christ tells a story, or a story is told of Christ, where he kills a fig tree, what do you think we're saying? What do you think the metaphor is there? Pretty clearly the Christians are saying that Christ and the following of the teachings of Christ will destroy the Roman Empire. Pretty straightforwardly. Which, incidentally, that's exactly what happened. And so, metaphor, not reading things literally. There's a reason why you're supposed to read, why you've been limited to reading religious texts literally, right? And there's an entire, like, the rise of the atheists. Like, the atheists read these texts literally. They decry the fundamentalists for being hypocrites and yet continue to read the text in the way that the fundamentalists insist they must be read. It's a wild take, right? Fundamentally, what you're saying is everything you believe is wrong, but I'm going to continue believing everything you believe, just so I can say it's wrong. It's a fundamentally wild take. Like, I'm not interested in what's true. I'm just interested in telling you you're wrong. And that my encouragement, like, if you're out there and you're an atheist and you think that what I just said was shit and it's making you cringe a little bit, pick up your Bible, give it a read, and stop reading it like a fundamentalist. When you encounter magic or something, an event that you think is odd or that you don't understand, maybe go, okay, that's magic. So, not meant to be read literally, right? I'm not supposed to be like, these guys think a wizard was real. No, it's magic, man. Like, magic in stories is not meant to be interpreted literally. That's what fundamentalists think, because they're stupid. And if you want to be less stupid, start reading this stuff not literally. Because religion is the sphere of emotion. That for thousands of years, it is how we discussed our emotionally self. Content says, and of course, I knew it was going to be you, Content. All the love. I would only read it literally because that's how the fundies read it. That's their standard. Yeah, I don't know why. I don't know why. Like, it reminds me of that Mark Twain quote. Never argue with an idiot because they'll reduce you to their level and then beat you with experience. Oh, Mark Twain. Oh, Mark Twain. What a complicated figure. What a strange person. Ugh. Yeah, Christianity has pumped itself on fundamentalism. Yeah, everybody has. Fundamentalism is indicative. Lots of people are fundamentalists. There's a lot of fundamentalism right now. And it's for, I don't know, good reasons, but it's for reasons. Like I think that the Enlightenment, like it's all tied into the death of the humanities. That we've somehow convinced ourselves that if it's not literally true, like if it's not literally true in a physical kind of way, that that it doesn't have value, right? That if Jesus isn't a historical figure, then he has no value, right? Which is obviously false. Like we know that rooting for people who don't exist, fictional characters, can matter to us as much as rooting for people who do exist, right? That we exist within abstraction, and that abstraction is a place where we can learn stuff. Condon writes, come on, John, like, dude, it isn't the atheist to be blamed for in which Christian apologetics are engaged with. Like, dude, the fundies are actually proving that not even their literal interpretation doesn't matter to them. Yeah, I think that that's probably true. Like, they don't actually care about their Christ. I think that that's fair. Like, fundamentalist Christians generally don't care about Christ at all, right? Like, to them, it's just a club. Right? It's just a way to get together and bash on black people at this point. I think that that's accurate. But like I've been heavily critical of the new atheist movement, for example, right? The new atheist movement that came around, which was Sam Harris, just the bigot and psychopath Sam Harris, literally like, we should nuke the Muslims and here's some minstrel shit for you. Everybody still seems to give this guy credibility. I don't quite understand why, but like Sam Harris, Richard Dawkins, Christopher Hitchens, and Daniel Dennett. Yeah, and the new atheists are running dogs for empire for sure, but they were a big spark, right? They were a big moment, and people like Ricky Gervais is another good example, right? Like that, these guys have their criticisms, right? And a lot of their criticisms are accurate. But I think that the scope of their criticisms is pretty narrow. And it comes with a like throw the baby out with the bathwater kind of quality. Right? That because there are powerful people trying to convince me that magic is real with these books, that means that we should throw the books away. I'm not convinced. Eric writes, reading David Graeber's Pirate Entertainment right now. Those pirates sure knew the value of both myth and a loose egalitarianism. Yeah, I mean, the period of piracy was actually really fascinating because most successful pirates were actually naval officers that either, what's the word? They either jump ship. There's a word for this where a military man, they like go rogue, right? Or they do piracy while they're doing military adventurism, right? Like, so they're sent across the ocean by the British. And while they're there, sure, they do some stuff for the British, but then they're also a pirate. I'll answer your question in a second. Cotton says, you make sense, John, if you're arguing that theological literature shouldn't be stolen from the people. Yeah, I think that that's the point, right? Otherwise, you seem overly defensive about scripture. I just think that people need as much help as they can get these days. And I feel like, I think that there's a large segment of the population that is leaning very heavily on Freudian psychology, therapy, like these sorts of things at the moment. And I mean, I think that's fine, but I also think that it's extraordinarily limited. That it's not going to, it's not going to help you as much as you think it's going to help you, right? And it's like throwing a stick at somebody who's drowning. Like, you'll grab the stick. John, how you doing? And I'm not necessarily talking about the Bible, right? Like, I think the Quran is a fine text. I think the Vedas are a fine text. I think that these texts are good, and that there is things to be thought of. And it's just simply the struggle that matters, right? It's just simply the engagement that matters. Like, you don't need to draw a conclusion. It doesn't matter if you think Christ is real. Like, that's not a serious thing. But like, the story of the death and resurrection of Christ alone is a good story that should come back into the zeitgeist of humanity. The base concept being, you can kill the man, but you can't kill the message. Or the story of Christ itself, like Christ's idea that he is the Son of God. It's like, oh, okay, well, if he's the Son of God, then why am I not the Son of God? Right? That was actually the Gnostics. The Gnostics believed that, which is why I think they get excluded from the texts during the Nicene councils, right? Like, they get excluded because they were saying, wait, each and every one of us is a son and daughter of God and should be regarded as such. And of course, if you're a powerful person who wants slaves or serfs, maybe don't have a people who think that way about themselves. Got a first-time chatter over on Twitch. Dato saying turncoats. Turncoats, yeah, turncoats, exactly. Like the naval officers who got turncoats. I think that is it. The British sent out privateers, people with letters of marque from the King Queen, legally empowered to steal shit from the enemies of the monarch. Pirates were doing so without any royal backing. Yeah. Hall asks, what do I think of quantum consciousness? I think that quantum consciousness is a reframing or a rearticulation of what theologists have been talking about the entire time. But if you actually read like what Thomas Aquinas or Augustus, or Isaac Newton, right? If you read what these guys were writing about the subject of God, and then you listen to what these guys are talking about with quantum consciousness, it's like the same thing, right? That this is a singular energy that we live in, that you and I exist as a singular energy within that energy, that I am the quantum consciousness and so are you. And we live in a shared reality with one another, and we're a singular energy exploring itself, right? It's God, baby. Like, it's God. It's just a rearticulation of the same idea. And I don't mind that. I don't mind that there is this rearticulation of the same idea, but it kind of flows back into what I was saying before, which is that, like, I think that these ideas have been around for a long time. We're not really discovering anything, right? It's just being presented in a new package. And if we actually like picked up these texts and read these texts free from this fundamentalist literal insistence that insists upon itself, then we would find that ourselves. And we would find out quickly. It's like, oh yeah, like, I am a singular energy that lives within a singular energy. But I am part of the energy. And that the energy itself is a living entity and alive. Right? That it has its own thoughts and its own feelings. And if you project something into it, it will allow you to do so. And if you accept it and allow it to project into you, it will do so. That if you resist, it will allow you. And if you submit, it will allow you, right? And that this concept of quantum consciousness is sort of a way for secular scientists and atheists to grapple with the concept of God without actually saying the word. That's what I think of when I think of quantum consciousness, right? Like I end my my show by saying we're all quantum beings walking around in quantum energy, right? And it's true, right? And there's something like we're trying to categorize the magic, right? We're trying to categorize the magic, but there's something magical about it, and like we're never gonna get our finger on it. Like we're way too limited in our perception, and we're way too confident in our power. Content writes, I think we're being swallowed by a demiurge. Nice. And there is speculation that we might be inside a black hole. So, yeah, I mean, there is the question of like the physical nature of what reality looks like, right? Like you get down to the nuts and bolts of it. Like what does it look like to be part of infinity? Like what does it look like to be part of a like and the fundamental floor of the entire conversation is like, why is there something instead of nothing? Like that's the dragon we're chasing, right? That's the dragon that even the secular scientists are chasing. Why is there like that's the number one, like that's sort of the big mystery. Like why is there something instead of nothing? How could it come to be that there is something instead of nothing? Why are we? What are we here for? What is this? What are you here for? What do you think we're here to do? Are we here to do anything? Are we just here to be swallowed by a demiurge? Hull says, we just don't have enough senses to feel and see what's invisible to us, frequencies. Well, and different colors of light as well. There's all kinds of stuff that we can't perceive, right? And I'm of the opinion that there's so much stuff that we can't perceive that we don't even know what we can or cannot perceive, right? Like we don't even have the capacity to imagine the things that we can't perceive. Like we are so limited. Like we are not that much different from just like a dog or an ape. Nope. Content's like, I'm actually like mad triggered today because of this sloppy judo flip a prominent Democrat tried to do with an assessment of the left. The left has always pointed out, trying to make leftists responsible for Trump. Now, when you say leftists in that context, do you mean Democrats or do you mean genuinely leftists? Because I will give a lot of blame to Democrats. I will for sure look at Democrats and be like, yeah, you guys are responsible for Trump in many ways. Like blocking Bernie Sanders, putting Hillary Clinton up instead, who was a very unpopular candidate. And then blocking Bernie Sanders again and putting up Biden. And then Biden straight up was just like Genocide Joe, right? And then trying to respond to that with, once everybody understood this guy had dementia and was not capable, with Kamala. Oh, you mean actual leftists who didn't vote for Kamala? That's just horseshit. That's just some dumb, like, that's like, the Nazis were socialists, it says so right in the name. It's like that level of thinking. Who's actually to blame for the rise of Donald Trump is his victims. Yeah, the people he victimized. You know, if they hadn't have been so outspoken, I think that we would have been okay. You know, like Content says, remember how we joked about how the Dems said the left is small, so don't listen to the left, and yet we're big enough to cause defeat. Yeah, well, it's just look. The society is very fascist. We live in a very fascist society, and um, one of the uh, uh, prominent features of fascism is the enemy is both weak and strong, right? Yeah, she actually used that point and shifted the blame onto the leftists by admitting the left actually matters. Well, if the left actually matters, then maybe you should listen to them, right? Like either the left matters or it doesn't, right? And if the left actually matters, if the left can actually get in your way, and if the left can actually make you lose elections, then maybe you should say, hey, leftists, what would make you vote for me? So, because we have standards, we are entirely responsible for Trump and Gaza. Yeah, I would argue that committing a genocide has more to do with it. Like, yeah, people didn't want to vote for you because you were committing a genocide. Like the genocide ramped up. I mean, I would argue has been happening for a long time, but it really ramped up under Genocide Joe. Yeah, peanut butter Beatrice. There haven't been any real leftists in the U.S. government for decades. That's the problem. Well, I mean, you go through Red Scare, right? You get purged out. You have your leaders assassinated. John just writes here, darting back just a second. The only creation scenario that makes sense to me is that the Big Bang was caused by an ultra advanced civilization as a science experiment. Well, where did they come from, John? Turtles all the way down. That's what it is. It's just turtles all the way down, my man. Hull writes, leftists used to be feared and militant. Now it's just some party that focuses so much on gender. Yeah, I mean, I think the gender conversation is an interesting one for sure, but I do think it is being exploited by liberals in order to make sure that we're not having a conversation about class, right? Like if you can have an entire generation of kids talking about their gender instead of class dynamics, like that's a win. I think it'll blow back on them. I think it'll blow back on them pretty hard because all of those kids who got so militant about gender and gender studies, right? They'll turn 30 and 40. And the moment they realize that it's actually about their paycheck, the moment they see their parents in poverty, the moment they see that kind of stuff, they're going to take all of that expression and all of that power that they had towards gender and they're going to focus it directly on class. And they're going to figure it out really fast. Like they're going to learn really fast. And all of that energy that the Democrats and liberals thought that they were diffusing is just going to become just a knife's edge. Yeah, John's right. I've had it with the Dems. 50 million stayed home rather than vote against Trump. Yeah. And if you actually look at the polls, like because there's a bunch of issues that would have done it, but one of the issues that would have definitely done it is the Gaza genocide. Like if Genocide Joe had said this shit's got to get shut down, like we're not going to permit this, right? If he had made a case about it and like shut that situation down, which leaders have done in the past, American leaders have done in the past. It's not like he couldn't have done it. If he had done that, yeah, he might have won that next election. John writes, I'm concerned only with how we are here, not the ultimate creation, which will be forever unknown. Yeah, I don't care so much about the how. That seems to be like the nuts and bolts conversation, right? Like, are we in a black hole that's projecting itself? Are we a projection, right? Are we a hologram? Are we just brains in jars and we're just projecting a reality? Like these sorts of questions, like, I don't know, they're fun. And like, I get why people get kind of caught up on them. I'm more interested in the why. To me, that's an interesting question, is the why. Like, why are we here? And I find that when I dwell on the why are we here, I get taken down some interesting rabbit holes and some interesting thoughts persist, right? That there doesn't seem to be any meaning or purpose to any of this, that we are simply here. And yet, each and every one of us is full with desire for meaning. And we wish to generate meaning. Yeah, the why is a ponderance exercise. I mean, the whole thing is a ponderance exercise. Hull writes, the truth of this reality is out in space. You can't figure out much out here on this piece of rock called planet Earth. I don't know. You can find out a lot about yourself. And that's what you are. And that's the piece of the universe that you actually have some control over. Right? Like, I don't know why we're so interested in a question that we have no control over when we're ignoring the one part of the universe in the universal exploration that you actually have some control over, which is you. Content writes, OMG, brain in a jar. There was a side story in the Lies of PTLC that covered the concept, and I am entirely freaked out about it. Content, if we're brains in jars, you're fine. You are. You're completely fine. No problems are happening. Everything is normal. Your perception of this reality is your perception of this reality. You exist. You can't not exist. It is highly unlikely that you are going to wake up from a sleep and be a brain in a jar. How disappointing. I would be so disappointed. I would just be like, dude, if I'm a brain in a jar, I want to be like projecting something really cool. Yeah, I know what we'll do. I know what we'll do. We'll set up a gigantic apparatus and put this brain in a jar and make it project hallucinations into the abstract space. And what it will imagine is that it's a greeter at Walmart. Yes. The grand conspiracy. Yes, the brains in jars will imagine themselves as cashiers and accountants. Yes, our grand plan is coming to fruition. Just doesn't make any sense. Condon writes, the character was aware of a lack of body. They couldn't feel their body because they didn't have one anymore. Yeah, I think such a thing would actually drive a person mad. Like, this is why I've always said, like, there's that thought that exists where people are like, would you download your brain into a robot or download your consciousness into the internet or something? And I think people, this kind of circles back around to the comment I made earlier about Inside Out, where there's this hyper fixation on the brain. There's this hyper focus on the brain, and that we imagine ourselves as our brains. That most people imagine themselves as a brain being carted around by a body. But that's not what you are, right? That you aren't a brain with a body, you're a body with a brain. That if you were a brain in a jar, you wouldn't be able to understand the concept of your emotions because you wouldn't have them. Your brain is not the center of your love. That generates from your heart. Like, your brain is a central processing unit and generates ideas and thoughts. Like, your brain is the only part of you that can lie to you. Right? We're not meat mechs, is my point. Is that if you took your brain and put it in a jar, you would not be able to love. You would not be able to have a sense of self. You would be a central processing unit. That your perception of yourself would fundamentally change. And your concept of yourself and your self-analysis would fundamentally change. Because you are your body. Your body is you. And if you were to download your consciousness into a machine, you would cease to be a human. This is sort of my big complaint about how we think about our emotional selves in this reality, is that we've limited our self-analysis to the brain when we are not our brain. Our brain is part of us. Eric writes, for real, learning about how much gut health impacts anxiety and things has blown me away. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Look, the more I investigate it, and the more I think about it, the more I look at it, it's the chakras that have it right. Like, the chakras have got it. Right? Your root, your sacral, your solar plexus, your heart, your throat, your brain, your crown. Right? It's all there, and it's all part of what makes you you. And if you took any component of that out, you would die. Like, if you took your heart out, you would die. If you took your guts out, you would die. Right? If you took your shitter out, you would die. If you took your throat out, you would die. If you took your brain out, you would die. And yet it's this hyper fixation on the brain. And I think it's limiting. I think it limits our emotional growth to just hyper fixate on the brain the way that we do. And that we should spend the same amount of time fixating on our gut that we do on our brain. John writes, re Gaza, yeah. Big media never mentions that Americans generally view the Palestinians as people that have lost the battle to form a state. Americans won't back those perceived as losers. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like how people talk about, like, I'm against the Israeli state, but I'm for the Israeli people. And I'm like, yeah, have you ever polled the Israeli people? The Israeli people are in favor of this genocide by huge margins. It's like 85%. It's massive, massive margins. It's all going to blow back. Like, it's all going to blow back. I think the thing that's got everybody really terrified right now are the statements that China keeps releasing. Right? Every single time China stands up and starts talking about Gaza, that what was the one quote that they said that made me go like, oh shit, like, that's a thing, is this is not a war, it is a starvation, and if it continues, the West should expect China to act in unexpected ways. Basically, China just saying this cannot continue and it will not continue. And like, how crazy would it be? Like, how wild would it be if China just rammed some boats onto the shore and just started dumping goods? Like, how crazy would that be? Like, what would the Israelis be able to do about it? The Chinese just ram a couple of boats right up onto the Gaza shore and they're just like, okay. Like, what? Israel's going to start a war with China now? Probably not, right? Like, probably not. That'd be absolutely crazy, though. But I got to tell you, man, if China did it, I'd be like, rah, rah, let's go China. Fuck yeah. Like, goddamn heroic is what that would be. It would absolutely make me be like, amazing. China are the coolest people in the world right now. Just like, not talking legislatively, not bickering, not dickering, not doing any of that kind of stuff. Literally just ramming the boats and just saying, okay, here are the goods. Get the goods. I'd respect it. I'd respect it like crazy. Well, guys, I think I've reached the end of this one. Always remember, each and every one of you is a quantum being walking around in quantum energy. These billionaires are spending hundreds of billions of dollars in the hopes you'll never realize it. You'll just stay the good little commodity they need you to be. Rebel. Revolt. Repent. Good luck. We're going to need it.